Hi everyone, this is Paul here from the Magdalene Centre. Today I'm doing the astrology report for the week commencing the 28th of November. Now we're outlining some of the key aspects and transits taking place along the overall theme that it highlights to us. Before I do that though, I just want to clarify, as I always do, that the astrology doesn't control our lives. It gives us a framework to help us understand what is going on around us. It helps us to understand what kind of lessons can be learned at this time and how the different elements of the mind are working together at the collective level. But for anything to change, we have to engage with it. We actually have to take action. The astrology doesn't make things happen on its own. It provides an influence to help us guide in a certain direction. We all have free will to choose what course of action we take. But if we understand what the astrology is doing, we can then make sure that the actions we take are in alignment with the natural flow of events the astrology is trying to highlight to us. Now, in terms of the aspects this week, I'll begin with the moon as usual. We start with the moon in Leo, so this is a time where we may feel that need to express ourselves, to embrace our creativity and encourage other people to be creative as well. On Thursday, she's going to move into Virgo, so this is a time where we may feel the need to just develop order in our lives, or carry out the mundane tasks necessary to establish order. And it's also time for maybe reviewing what's our physical and mental health like and what we can do to bolster it, or what activities can we do to strengthen it and improve our well-being. On Saturday, the moon will enter Libra, which is a time of looking at building bridges with one another, spending time in those one-to-one interactions and catching up with friends to make sure everyone's okay. And then on Monday, the moon will move into Scorpio. So this is a time where we may feel like we need to look at our deeper motivation, our real motivations for doing things. We may also find that old emotional issues come up to be dealt with. So if any old hurts or grudges come up, it's a time to make peace with them rather than keep them going by obsessing over them. In terms of other aspects this week, Scorpio is going to be key area of focus, because we've got, first on Saturday, Mercury retrograde backtracks into Scorpio, so we move from reflecting on beliefs and our understanding of the big picture to reflecting on the deeper levels of the mind, old mental complexes that don't serve us. There's also clearing away the psychological baggage that clouds our vision or clouds our perception, so we can develop that almost laser-like perception that penetrates to the core of an issue, rather than just skating along the surface layer of reality as Mercury normally does. So it's developing that sharp, incisive mind rather than just dealing with the shallow layers of reality. And the following day, Venus is moving into Scorpio from Libra, having initially retrograded back into Libra on the 31st of October. She's now returned to Scorpio to finish off passing through the shadow, which will finish on the 18th of December, and move into Scorpio completely. So this is a time where we may be looking at our relationships, and rather than just being about establishing peace and harmony and building mental connection with one another, Venus in Scorpio is about keeping it real. It's about authenticity, and it's about that fundamental need for trust in order for a relationship to have healthy foundations. So it's looking at how are our relationships characterized? Are they loving? Are they truthful? And are we able to be our authentic selves? Or are they relationships based on deceit, or based on having to be something that we're not in order to keep someone else happy? So it's a time of seeking that authenticity in relationships rather than just casual acquaintance or just a surface level, or a surface level of peace, but underneath there's undercurrents going on which are unhealthy. It's addressing these areas of hidden currents within the relationship that need to be brought to the light of awareness, so that deeper levels of intimacy are possible through being honest with one another and seeking to be truthful at all times within our relationships. On the same day, Vesta is moving into Aquarius. This is a time where we may feel the need to, or where focus on devotion needs to move from creating structures for our own personal gain to humanitarian focus. It's devotion towards humanitarian social causes, and it's focusing our energy on helping the collective. But obviously, to be able to do that, we need to help ourselves first, which is what Capricorn is about. So it's about being the strongest version of ourselves possible and focusing our energies on a collective cause now rather than just personal. And during the course of this week, we've got two squares taking place. We've had one ongoing for over a week now, which is Mars squared Sun, but this is going to be exact on Monday. So this highlights that clash between who we are and what we do, and looking at where the two are out of alignment, where we engaging in actions which go against our core nature, go against who we are, or alternatively, where do we struggle to take action because we don't want to do the wrong thing, but we're so hesitant that we fail to act altogether. So the key area, or key thing to do here, is to rise above both functions. We need to be looking down them, as it were, from a higher perspective, and to bring the actions into alignment with who we are. So it's about that fundamental need to be honest with ourselves. If we're not honest with ourselves, then we'll miss any opportunities for growth this aspect highlights to us. But if we can be honest with ourselves and recognise where we engage in actions which go against our goals or go against who we're trying to be, and when I say who we're trying to be, I mean it goes against who we are. Because if we try to be anything other than who we are, then we create stress for ourselves, or create that emptiness or that void, because we're trying to be something that we're not. But it's important that our actions reflect who we are, that we know who we are, we know what we want, and we only pursue the actions that will allow us to pursue goals in alignment with who we are, rather than pursue goals which might satisfy the ego's appetites briefly, but cause a load of turmoil for us, because deep down we know that what we're doing isn't actually right for who we are, but our impulses are still too strong, or keep taking in directions that we don't want to go down. It's the time for being honest with ourselves about our actions. The other one I want to mention is that we've got the Sun coming into a square with Neptune. That won't be exact until next Wednesday, but it's important that we're aware of it now, because the energy obviously builds up to it. It doesn't just happen at the exact moment. There's always a build up to it and then a gradual withdrawal after. The Sun square to Neptune is a time for reflecting or making sure that we're not engaging in any kind of deception, because Neptune is very fluid, and with us getting in touch with our Sun, or with the Sun, we need to be mindful that we don't end up losing touch with who we are. But it's also, Neptune reminds us that we need to maintain that psychic sensitivity, we need to maintain compassion, and we need to maintain connection with universal love, rather than just going our own way about things. And it's also following unconditional love, compassion, psychic sensitivity, intuition and truth allows us to avoid engaging in illusion and deception, which is the shadow side of Neptune. And with Neptune being Pisces, the potential for illusion is very strong. So at all times we need to be honest with ourselves and humble, and make sure that whatever we're doing, we're not engaging in any kind of deceit, because if we're lying about things and the lie brings us down, our energy levels crash and we reap karma for ourselves. So it's about being honest, first and foremost with ourselves, and then to other people. We should never be lying to anyone in the first place. But if we want to keep our energies high, if we want to tap into that spiritual side of our nature at its maximum potential, then we have to be honest with ourselves to begin with, and seek to root out any areas where we engage in illusion and deceit, and instead make sure that we're always being honest, as long as when we are being honest, it's done in a loving and compassionate way, it's not brutal honesty. And that we always remember that it's important for us to maintain unconditional love and compassion at all times, in order to avoid being drawn into fear. So it's quite a bit to take on board there, but the main thing to remember this week is with Mercury in particular going into Scorpio, it's digging down to the root of issues. It's moving beyond the surface layers to the deeper level of who we are. But it's also honesty with ourselves is important at all times. It's only by being honest that we can be real. It's only through honesty we can be humble, and it's only through honesty that we can be loving, truly loving with someone, and not just maintaining an illusion to keep someone happy, but it's all a lie at the end of the day. So truth is always important, as is love. These two components are vital, that we follow them at all times in order to be the best version of ourselves we can be, and also to be the most positive influence we can be on other people. Because if we're not if we're not being loving and truthful, how can we realistically expect other people to do that for us? That's just hypocrisy at the end of the day. So if we can remember to always seek to be loving and truthful, and obviously, and we are communicating with people, that we keep the communication honest, but always maintain respect for the person and love for them. That way we're not using honesty to hurt other people. Sometimes the truth will hurt, and we have to accept that, but there's ways of communicating with one another and being truthful with someone without doing it in a way that's going to cause more hurt than the actual truth itself will cause. So it's maintaining love in our actions, love in our speech, love in our thoughts, and love in our beliefs. And if we can maintain this along with truth and honesty at all times, then we can move into alignment, as Jupiter's prompting us to do at this point in time, as Jupiter's moving through his home sign Sagittarius, and we can move beyond the lower levels of our being to our higher nature, and we can make sure that our sense of identity reflects our higher self, rather than the more base nature of the ego when its temptations or its appetites go unchallenged or go unchecked. So may this week bring you much insight and greater degree of understanding of your deeper motivations and who you are. And may it's also be a time for significant growth, release from the past, and moving into alignment with our higher selves through seeking truth in all things. So may this week bring you much insights and many blessings. Take care.